A long day comes to an end, but I just told the audience I was really happy when I saw I could host this panel. It's about arenas. It's about buildings like this. This is my first question, Harry. I am a sports host, a football commentator. When I watch football games, I'm kind of, in Germany we say betriebsblind, working blind. I cannot watch a normal football game because I always think, oh, the commentator should do this. Oh, no, that was good. Oh, no, that wasn't good. When you come to such buildings, what are your first thoughts?
Yeah, I think when I come to any event, look, I've studied fan and customer experience my whole life, so I'm constantly looking out for different elements that are new, surprising to me. So I'm looking for the wow moments. I'm looking for surprise and delight. I'm looking for the exceptional pieces because being a student of fan experience, fan engagement, that's the thing. What are those things that are going on in this venue or in the venues all around the world that we get a chance to visit and learn from? What are those things that I can take away? Or maybe what some of the things that are not working quite as well, maybe make sure we don't do those things. But I'm really, really looking at all the different elements of what I'm feeling, seeing, from the moment I walk into a building to the experience to the moment I walk out.
If you like one thing really, really much, there's the guy, you can tell.
Yeah,
Michael, happy to have you with us. We are happy to be here. Michael, I think Coldplay will play here in this arena in July, right?
Yes, absolutely. 3 shows.
Do you know the ticket prices? I've been to a Coldplay concert in Berlin. It was a birthday present, but I think it was around about 200 euros.
Yeah, it starts at about 120 and all up to 550, and the most expensive tickets sell first.
And you told me a couple of days ago, in 1982, a Motorhead concert ticket, it cost how much?
Yeah, it was £4. Yeah. And I saw that when I was in Las Vegas. I was at the Punk Rock Museum, and there was this poster, and it was just £4 for a ticket. And that's exactly what happened over the last 40 years. I mean, we went from £4 to 500, 600, 800, and again, people buy a lot of prices, but they expect something different.
Yeah, well, what is the reason? Is it just inflation?
Well, I personally think it is the value of what you get, because it is an experience. It's a moment which you can't compare to anything else. And the more digital we get, and the more we have hardly any time to interact with other people, the concert is the moment that makes a difference. And people have a very high expectations these days, and that's what we have to cater to. But definitely, they're prepared to pay the money.
Xander, from 1982 to 2024, what would you say? What changed the most?
That's a question you can talk for hours on. I think Michael is absolutely right. I mean, if you look at the experience that you get today, you know, when you enter a venue, it's friendly. It's more like almost a 2 to 5 star hotel that you're entering, instead of a venue with fences. And you know, back in the 90s, we still, you know, were plagued by hooliganism. You know, that's now a little bit different. We have different challenges, of course, but nevertheless, the experience is much more positive. If you look at hospitality offerings, you know, there were maybe 2 or 3 back, let's say 15 years ago. Now we go to 20, 25 different offerings. And it comes back to what you also said, you know, you have to keep surprising the fans so that they, you know, they want to be surprised. They don't want to go to the same experience every time. Of course, the matches and the events are very different, but it's also up to the venues to provide actually such a beautiful place and such a nice to be place that they're really enjoying themselves.
Harry, normally in the US, everything happens a little earlier. When I look at stadiums, for example, the football stadiums, I mean, those are the big ones in the US, compared to, for example, German football, soccer stadiums. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, they looked kind of old-fashioned without the roof, for example. That's that was the first thing that always came to my mind. This changed completely, right? Are we talking about a brand new era of arenas, of stadiums?
So just a couple things, just building on what Sander said. So in the business that we're in for fans, guests, customers, and sports and entertainment, exceptional, whether it's the venue itself, quickly becomes expected, right? So in other words, even when you open up a brand new, so you open up Vegas, you open up any other venue brand new, exceptional quickly becomes expected. And if you don't continue to reinvest in that venue, it becomes what I would say is boring, and then quickly become annoying. And so, look, as Michael said, fans are looking for a differentiated experience. For me to get out of watching it on a high-def TV at home in my comfort, when I come to the stadium, I expect more. So on the stadium side, that's why you see this constant reinvestment. So maybe years ago across the world, venues could go 20, 25 years without doing incremental capital planning and investment. I think we can all agree now, today, in today's world, our stadium is 7 years old. 3 years probably before that architecturally, so 10 years. But we've been constantly reinvesting because we're listening to the voice of our fans, and all of the innovations we see at retail outside of sports and entertainment, those are coming to our venues. And so we can either outpace them, jump, lead by example, but that's why I think you're seeing across the NFL, across Major League Soccer, across all of the world venues and these amazing venues in Europe, this constant reinvestment in the fan, because the fan wants to have that differentiated experience. We're bringing value to it, and additional social experience. Where else are we going to get that other than in sports and entertainment? That's what brings us together. So reinvestment is needed.
I think we have some slides, some pictures of arenas that you created, that you built it. Of course, the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Atlanta, and Tottenham Stadium brings me to Declan. When you create and build such arenas, what are your thoughts? What is your motivation in relation to the fans?
Good question. I think firstly we're very fortunate as a business that we've been able to design over 3,000 stadiums and arenas around the world. So lots of lessons learned. But ultimately there's a few key drivers. One of those is the fan base. Clearly, anything we do, we need to create an authentic home for the fan base, and that's driven by delivering some incredible experiences. At Tottenham, it was, firstly, we had an amazing client and partner, Daniel, team there. Really what we did there was create a civic piece of architecture, and that's really the big change in these buildings. When you think 10 or 15 years ago, a stadium was pushed to the outskirts of the city, and it was used once every 2 weeks. These buildings are now used 365 days a year. They're essentially town halls in many respects, and that's how we approached the Tottenham Stadium design. I mean, incredibly flexible. I'm sure, as most people know, the sliding pitch goes out, and we've got NFL, concerts, etc. But it's a really good example of how you approach kind of contemporary design. Very much focused on fan experience, but authentic experiences that work for Tottenham. So we've got a whole range of offers in there, from microbreweries to long bars to sky bridges. The non-event day piece is really compelling, whereby we have the Formula One electric go-karting in there. We've got the Tottenham experience in there. So in summary, fans are very much at the heart of what we do. But also it's about creating a 365-day destination. And in many respects, with these stadiums today, we're bringing the high street into the building. That's what we're ultimately doing. So there is a range of offers for everyone. And if you design the right experience, revenue will follow.
For me as a non-expert, you mentioned 3 years, or how much time do you need to design, to create arenas like we see here?
It really does depend on the location and the process. A big part of the process is engagement with the local municipality. But typically a large-scale stadium project will take about 3 years to construct. And then before that, there's a couple of years of design and process. We're just about to open D.LIVE Arena in Manchester, which is a new 23,500 capacity arena, largely focused on sustainability and delivering a phenomenal music experience. And that journey there took about 5 years in total.
Harry, do you have a checklist when you start with a new building, with a new arena? Okay, what do we want to have here? What do we want to build here? Not only a nice looking arena, but all the other things. Yeah, so in terms of defining a checklist, it really starts, as Declan said, really having those
good purviews and insights from our fan base, from our customer base, and so forth. So we're not building a new stadium, but what we do have is capital plans, right, for the next few years. So we call it Mercedes-Benz Stadium 2.0, and again, we're only 7 years old, and we're already investing in different features throughout the stadium. On a call last night already, we're starting to talk about 3.0, right? So for us, it's about how do we continue, because once you open up a brand new building, you really get a sense of how that building's used, from the pedestrian flow, from the fans, where they're gathering, different points. And so now you get to reimagine actually this new space that's live only 7 years, and different ways of creating different experiences throughout that stadium and actually utilizing the spaces in different ways. And that's what we're doing on the next 3 years.
I think we have a picture of the roof of Mercedes-Benz Arena. I think it's already famous.
The Pantheon roofs. Yeah, I'm not sure we have a slide, but I think there's a slide in there about. Yeah. So, for example, we have the soccer pitch, which is one of those slides, and it shows a new terrace experience. Before that, it was just simply a club that had a patio there. But we saw how the fans gathered there, and then we came with an idea. We could actually create some new social premium seating experiences right closest to the pitch, and so that was an investment last year. Along with other different investments. This year, we're doing a whole new redesign or reimagining of Molly B's into a clubs and a chairman's lounge and a club space. So as the building is used, you're going to see new ways to potentially utilize different spaces in different ways to drive revenues, but to drive that interactive as well as total immersive experience that you can't get anywhere else.
But I think we also have to see that, because you asked how do you approach a new design of a building? What we've also seen with the Sphere in Las Vegas, that there has been a completely new approach to a building. I think that also relates to Manchester, where an arena is solely made for music rather than for what we believed is multifunctional 20 years ago. So I think there are also changes in the approach of it, partially.
No, I think if you take Manchester, it's a really good example. So it's a music first venue, but just focusing on the auditorium for a moment. I mean, it's a fully black ball environment. Essentially, it is a kind of club on a macro scale. So there is no digital ribbon boards inside deliberately, and it's really about creating that kind of immersive experience for the fan, but also the artist. And then you look at the spaces around the auditorium. And we've got 41 bespoke bars, restaurants, and lounges, and we're bringing in partners like Bentley, for example, into the space. So I think it's a really good example for how kind of transformational these buildings are.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting to look at. I like your comment a lot, Declan, when you say you take the high street in, because that shows you the different offerings that you're gonna provide. But it also is like, a venue is also part of its environment. And part of the, let's say, hassle is also how to get to a venue, how to go back home. So how do you actually provide the best possible service also in that respect? And I think that is something that should also be part of the design request and also an important part of the design. And if you say that, then you're also thinking about, what other things, what other roles a stadium can provide or be in society, right? So what kind of role does a stadium is a platform as well. It's a platform for sports, first and foremost, but it can also be a platform for sustainability. And with the current developments that there are, I'm very happy and proud that we take sustainability very seriously, and many others as well. I'm not trying to tap myself on the back, but we see there's a lot of positive energy related to it, and it is also, it reflects to what we just said before. It's just really listen to society and see how you can respond to it. And trying to be a platform for sustainability initiatives, trying to change people's behavior, nudge it a little bit, and use the power of the marketeers of football, to help with that challenge is a very interesting one.
Harry, since society is diverse and from country to country, from state to state, so diverse, how important is this for? Let me ask it this way. Such a great arena like the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Atlanta, would you have built the exact same building in other states as well, or is it individual?
So I think every stadium's got to think about its fan base, think about where it's located. I think Declan and I were speaking about this earlier. So look, the stadium that's designed in Atlanta is perfect for the Atlanta Falcons season ticket members, for Major League Soccer, Atlanta United, for all the different types of events that we can host on a grand scale, so Super Bowls and so forth, that's also considered. But it resides in a community. And one thing our chairman always said is, you know, this is a force for good. I love what you said, that stadiums are becoming a brand platform, right? And so another example of the goodness and sustainability that all the different venues are focused in on at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, our concession stands are operated the front of them by non-for-profit charities, all within 25 miles of the stadium. So our stadium will never cast a shadow in the community. It can only bring light into the community, whether it's sustainability or giving back. So I think it has to be very specific to who your fans are and where you are in the part of the country. An open roof, you know, makes sense in Atlanta because we have the weather for it. And Declan probably has got more on it.
I would completely agree. I mean, I use that word authentic. That's so important in what we do. I also think each venue has to have its own personality. So, for example, if we take what we've done for Fulham FC in London, there was an image up a moment ago. I mean, alongside the River Thames, essentially we built out onto the River Thames, and we've created a real mixed-use development there. Yes, there's a new stand, but within that stand we've got a spa, a boutique hotel, fine dining, a nightclub. So what we would do there would not necessarily work in another part of the world. So every single venue needs to be, for example, here in Düsseldorf, it has to be off Düsseldorf and for Düsseldorf, or it's not going to work. So it always has to be unique.
Michael, what's important for this arena in Düsseldorf? Why do the citizens of Düsseldorf like this arena?
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate because this building has been built as a multifunctional arena. So I think in the 2001 when it was planned, I think this was quite visionary because at that time most of the stadia, at least in Germany, which were built were meant to be for soccer. Certainly the Feldins Arena in Gelsenkirchen, they already had the concept of the retractable grass floor, which is also quite a bit of multifunctionality, but here, you know, as we can see today, this is like an indoor arena. We can heat it, we can completely darken it, we can utilize it for so many purposes, and this is for today's world where you try to be a 365 days operation. This is very, very important because we can have major shows in wintertime. So I think multifunctionality is a key, and then certainly how to respond to the need of the fan experience of today, which again is completely different. And that will be our challenge on how to answer that question. That once you visit this building, it is something special, and there is a lot of work to do for us.
Yeah. Xander talking about the roof that can be closed or opened. Am I right? The Amsterdam, the Johan Cruijff Arena was the first stadium in Europe that had this?
I think that you might be right. I think you're the first multifunctional, actually designed as a multifunctional venue, but also with the flaws that come with it. So, you know, working with that, you know, throughout the years. Yes, we have a roof that can open and close, but not a non-translucent one, which is a big ambition of ours because it's great. You know, now you can play with the lights. You know, and back in the concert season, let's say in May, June, July, you know, you have the full-on show experience also at 7 o'clock in the evening. While, you know, in our venue that is a big challenge. So we're trying to work with that, but that's difficult. So again, this is another improvement over time, and that comes back also to your comment earlier. Yeah, we have to keep investing. You know, and that is maybe another aspect that is important in, let's say, in venue development at least, that there is a healthy business model underneath it, you know, as a foundation, because otherwise you cannot invest. Right? Because these investments, they were never foreseen. So these are all, it's not maintenance, it's just, you know, refurbishing, adapting. So you have to, yeah, let's say design to adapt, both in the physical structure, but you also have the financial means to do so.
Investing is a good keyword for me, because you want to do it, of course you have to see it from a business side. And with that, I come back to the Mercedes-Benz Arena. We can see it here. I think it's a cashless arena, right?
Yep.
But maybe even more than this. I think in Germany we are used to cash. We love cash. So this is where the US is far in front. Maybe you can give us some insights and some explanations on this.
Yeah, so we went cashless as the first venue right before COVID started. And so that also was an ROI payback for us. So if you can think about managing cash and all that kind of stuff and storing and safeguarding, et cetera. But the biggest piece was really driving it was the fan experience so that we can get throughput at concessions. No one likes to stand in queue lines. And then if you expand that to today, you know, we don't have magnetometers. We have frictionless entry with the Evolve machines. At ticketing, we use facial authentication to come in. You can sign up for that. It's voluntary. And now we have authentication even at, you know, self-serve bar service where you can select whichever, you know, alcohol beverage of choice they have. So that's really where this is all going for all of us in terms of sports and entertainment. How do we make sure there's less time spent grabbing our food, grabbing our souvenirs, all that kind of stuff, while still being a upscale, personalized experience, because we can recognize you as you approach the bar and maybe what your last drink was, so you can spend more time with family and friends in that social, interactive experience. Because look, in the world today, everybody's on their phones, everybody's on digital. The one competitive advantage and differentiated value we all share and we all bring to life that human beings around the world want is to be together and social and create memories. And so that's what we bring to the table that no one else can.
Declan, and you already mentioned the big word, the big topic, sustainability. What do you think? Can zero waste for an arena, for a stadium, be standard in the future?
I think it has to. I mean, it's no longer taking a. It's a must now. It's an expectation. If you look at some of the great artists that come and play in these venues, Coldplay, Billie Eilish, they demand it, and rightly so, as does consumers. And we really design for fans, bands, and brands, and all of those expect the venue to be sustainable. So if you take, for example, D.LIVE at the moment, I mean, sustainability worked on multiple levels. So if we think about the construction of the building, like 80% of the construction orders, the materials for that venue, were placed in Greater Manchester, west of England, which equated to 200 million pounds worth of investment, economic benefits also. I think then you talk about the venue itself from an operational standpoint. I mean, absolutely, you're looking at venues that are fully powered by electricity. Thank you. And again, looking at Manchester, we have 10,500 square meters of solar panels on the roof, so fully powered by electricity. All of the rainwater is collected. It's used for flushing the toilets, etc. LED lighting throughout. Zero waste to landfill. So it's absolutely a must. And I guess one of the buildings we always refer to was the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. When we delivered that was a game changer. Again, an incredible venue delivered by Tim Lewicki and OVG. And really there, we brought in Amazon, hence it's called the Climate Pledge Arena. And you look at simple things like the rainwater is all collected and it's used to create the ice pad. So conceptually creating the greenest ice in the NHL. So there is a real drive. We're doing a project in Strasbourg at the moment, the refurbishment of a stadium. And there we've taken the aircraft body, the fuselages from airplanes, and we've used those to form the shading on the facade of the building. So sustainability is certainly at the heart of everything that we do at Populous, but also for our client base. And it was really nice to see recently that Tottenham Hotspur was again rewarded as the most sustainable Premier League football club.
Can I just jump in on that one? So I love what Declan said there. So we're all responsible for creating exceptional experiences. And years ago, like Michael said, it might have been just about the design of the stadium. But I think we're all saying the same thing. Today, there are 3 pillars that you have to hit. It's not just design. It's design, fan experience, and sustainability. That is now the new normal, in my opinion, for everything going forward.
So there we have the checklist. At least 3 points. You have. We saw a slide of the sustainability platform in Amsterdam. What can you tell us about it?
We've been working on with the theme of sustainability for a long time. It was in fact the city of Amsterdam, that challenged us, to be sustainable icon back in 2002 or 3. I can't remember exactly. And we took that seriously, and we used the power of connect people, something that we do on a regular basis, all of us. So to connect companies, knowledgeable people to actually help us in that sustainability program. This has led to do all kinds of projects, and one that I'm especially proud of is our energy that we use. Nowadays, we use, of course, we have our solar panels, but we also have an energy storage of 3 megawatt that we're now expanding to 9 megawatt, which basically means that starting from, hopefully, knock on wood, upcoming summer, we can actually have a full event, run a full event on power that we generated ourselves. So for us, that's a true game changer. And if this can happen in an existing venue like ours, we hope and expect that that will be, almost a standard in the future.
We talked about what changed from 1982, or maybe even earlier, till today. When we try to look into the future, there's a slide about the sustainability platform. We try to have a look into the future. I mean, when I grew up watching soccer games, there was the Maracanã with, I don't know, record over 200,000. Maybe not everybody had a ticket, but this was huge. And of course, Camp Nou in Barcelona, in Spain, it's a huge stadium. Normally, everything gets bigger and bigger in our world. What do you think? What's the future of arenas, of sports arenas? Will it get even bigger, or what will change?
Yeah. I can go. Bigger doesn't mean best. Absolutely not. At the minute, I mean, we've got stadiums on our books that are 10 or 15,000 capacity, and they're absolutely phenomenal for that fan base and that community. I think the future is incredibly exciting when you look at venues like the Sphere, for example. So I think when we talk about immersive experiences, that will continue to grow and enhance. And I guess it's our job, all of us here combined, to make sure that our venues are flexible and future-proof to kind of adopt that technology, if you like. But it will all come down to experience. We will continue to enhance fan experience. We will continue to make venues more sustainable, for sure. But certainly, big doesn't mean best.
Yeah, I think especially because the bigger you go, the more you contradict the fan experience aspect, because you just can't handle it anymore at a certain point. We all know whenever we have sellout buildings, that is really bad for us, because then we're always at the limit with all of our infrastructure. So I don't think it's necessarily be bigger, and especially what we see with digitalization, we're heading into a new era, and I think the Sphere is a perfect concept where we realize that they, for example, can do 4 shows a day. They have 3 immersive shows daytime, and then at night they have whatever show. So it is 365 and multiple use per day, and that is due to digitalization. So if you look at tomorrow's stadium and arena, I think we have to look far more into this. Look at, ABBA Voyage in London that I guess we've all seen. If you were able to duplicate artist or action on the floor, new things will happen. And I think it's not fantasy that one day we will see avatar games at our stadia where we duplicate great soccer matches or football matches, and we can show them at 11 o'clock show with 20,000 people in a stadium. We're about to go there.
Are you with them? Is this the future?
Yeah, for me, it's about always reimagining and reinventing, right? So that's literally what's going on across Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We're reimagining different spaces in different ways. So even in this beautiful arena, I can see into the future in terms of anyone who's sitting in the upper sections and so forth, they'll continue to want and demand new things as well. So I could see in the future a different club experience that has a platform up there that, again, maybe has a little bit less seats, but it's a totally different experience. So I think that's the piece that's driving us. It's what the fan is wanting. And you look, we have diverse fan expectations, premium, non-premium, and they're the ones that are driving new things that are going on in the corner, on the pitch, and potentially in the future that you've never seen inside an arena before. But I'm pretty confident Michael and the team here and everybody else will do the same, just like we are.
And I knew, you see this through expert eyes. I would not have seen this.
I think you've used the word diversity in the fan group, but I think we shouldn't forget the growth of the women's game. I think that's a huge part of our business as well. It's absolutely phenomenal to see the growth of that game and designing bespoke venues for the women's game. I think when we look to the future, there's a great opportunity there as well. We're very fortunate at the minute to have lots of those projects and facilities on our books. So that's another big part of what we do, equitable design and designing for everyone. I think it's our responsibility to take all of that on board as we go forward.
Yeah, I love that because we have the U.S. women's team in April on the pitch, and we actually, our chairman helped start flag football, which will be an Olympic sport in Los Angeles in not too long, right? So again, just watching the amazing talents of all the ladies on the pitch, football field, again, bringing everybody together. We're part of the community, so we have to represent everyone in the community.
I agree with everyone as well, and it's a quantity above or quality above quantity, I would say. I also see a lot of developments on a personalized fan experience. We haven't seen anything yet, I think. I mean, look at all the technology that's presented today. I mean, we're not even close to implementing that in most venues. Also, people are craving entertainment and football and sports and live sports and meeting each other. So, there's way more where that comes from. Multifunctionality, I fully agree with you. I mean, we're trying to design, of course, venues that are used 365 days a week, but reality is it's still a very expensive building for the amount of usage, right? So we need to push that much more to multiple events a day, multiple events per week. Not only rely on a concert season in May, June, July. No, let's have a concert, throughout the football season. It can be done, our venues are ready for it as well. So we have to push the market also a little bit there, and that's not, and especially also pushing. And last comment on inclusivity, because I like the fact, indeed, women's football. Requirements, right? New people in the stands, new fan base, people that haven't been to football matches before. Sometimes they have been, but also inclusivity in the sense of look at people with disabilities. In the we have whole plans in place how to bring that to the next level with sensoring rooms and everything, and just to make sure that everyone really feels at home. So it really becomes your living room. That's my favorite saying, actually. This is the living room of Düsseldorf, right? We're trying to be the living room of Amsterdam. So, that has to reflect in the services you offer.
That's very interesting, because there was one thing that just came to my mind when Michael, you talked about the option, the idea of having maybe 3 or 4 concerts, a football match in the middle of it. Could it be an issue that, for example, football fans, and we all know football fans, soccer fans, especially in Germany, they are special, that they say, this is our arena, that we identify with it. And we kind of come here and 1 hour later you will have this and you will have that. I mean, Madison Square Garden in the US, it's different. You're used to it. The Knicks are playing there, then there's the Rangers 1 hour later. So in Germany, there could be an issue. I'm not sure that, for example, in Dortmund, the fans of Borussia Dortmund, they are very proud of their gelbe Wand, this famous part of the arena. Maybe they would have a problem with this diversity, with the option just to let everybody in. Do you know what I mean?
I think I can jump in there. Look, the multifunctionality part of our venues is key, and a scheme that's come up a few times is the new 45,000 seat stadium in Qiddiya in Saudi Arabia that we're currently designing. Yeah. The key is that these are transformer-like buildings. They're transforming in to the right sport.
Okay.
So when that's being used by football, if there's a desire to have a single tier like the yellow wall at Dortmund or a single tier at Tottenham, that will be there. But equally, when it's transforming into a music venue, everything's changing. So for example, when we look at Qiddiya, it's the first in the world to have a sliding pitch, a sliding roof, and a sliding LED wall that opens up to offer phenomenal views from the cliff top. So it's about, these are genuinely transformer-like buildings, and you always are creating an authentic home for that fan base.
Yeah, even in the US, whether it's college football or Atlanta United, Atlanta Falcons, the inside and the outside of the building is transformed for the branding of that club. So if you're a season ticket member, you feel really good coming into Atlanta United, whether it's 70,000 or same thing for the Falcons.
Allianz Arena in Munich with the lights.
It's similar, so this is where architecture can help. But I think it also helps to have the right communication and culture with the teams or the supporters of each team that are coming. I mean, it's our job to prepare the building in a way that the fan experience is perfect for whoever comes, whether it's for a women's soccer world championship or if it's the Fortuna Heimspiel or if it's a concert. I mean, if Harry Styles comes in, this is completely different than Bruce Springsteen. Then we need more toilets for women, for example, and more cleaning and more merchandising stands. So we have to
adjust. Don't tell Bruce Springsteen.
Taylor Swift.
And we have to adjust. I think if you communicate properly what it means to have a multifunctional building, everybody will profit from it, because at the end it generates more money, it generates more income that gives you the opportunity to rebuild, to make it more modern, more parking, whatever it takes.
Yeah. I have one last question. Whoever wants to answer is allowed to answer. In earlier centuries, buildings were created that are still the landmarks of cities and entire countries today. Colosseum in Rome, Eiffel Tower in Paris. I don't know if I'm allowed to say Kölner Dome here in Düsseldorf. Are big stadiums with all the things that you just explained in a wonderful way, the architectural monuments of the modern world?
I would say absolutely yes. I go back to where I started. These are now civic buildings. They are town halls. They have streetscapes of their own. You can walk out of a stadium onto a street. They are open 365 days a year. So absolutely, they are and will continue to be monuments of the city.
Yeah, for us, it's being a force of good. We are part of the community. So again, just like Declan said, including, if you come into the stadium, there's 60 different artists, 150 pieces of artwork that are throughout the stadium. So again, the multi-purposes are up to the imagination of reinventing what a stadium experience can be, whether it's for major events, for us 50 a year, private events, over 100 of those a year. But we have to sweat the equity to get all the benefits and keep delivering what the fans want in terms of expectations, which are, there's no finish line in this game. If you think there's a finish line, you don't even know the game.
And I think it's not only stadia, which are icons, and the modern temple, if you like. So Sydney Opera House, Bilbao with the Guggenheim Museum, Oslo Opera. I think the Sphere again in Las Vegas, SoFi Stadium in LA. I think anything that is iconic by architecture, number one, and number two, which delivers something that means to the people of the community, that is an iconic landmark.
Yeah. I think especially the last point, I think, because I would not qualify our venue, for example, as iconic, in the sense of beauty, let's say, which can also always be argued. But especially it's a place where it's an emotional place. It's where people, especially with relation to sports and events, where people experience cool events together with friends, right? So, and that is really what, and then coming back to the living room aspect, that's really what it is. And hence it's a monument. And when people like Declan are involved and other great architects, then it can also be a very good looking monument. But I like your question, because you're asking for people that are involved in stadiums whether stadiums should be the pinnacle of the world. So answer is yes. Answer is yes.
I think it's a good last answer. So Michael, thank you for having us here in your living room. That was great. I really enjoyed it. This is your applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.